What does it take to get ahead in life? How does it feel to you when you take control of your destiny through hard work? How does it feel to you when you achieve your goals and the desired outcomes that you set out to do? In this episode of SpirLift, I'll be speaking about this, so stay tuned. In this episode of SpirLift, we'll be speaking about personal responsibility. Actually, I will be speaking about personal responsibility, and this is a solo dialogue. Well, not dialogue. This is just me talking for the first time. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video because it really helps grow the channel, educate more people, and just spread the message. So if you haven't already, please do that, and let's get going. So as most of you know, I've spoken, or if you don't know yet, I have interviewed many experts on many different themes since March of this year, 2020, because I just felt after the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic, I just was noticing the frustration in people's lives, heightened anxieties, just even people that I knew personally contemplating suicide. It was just a mess. And I felt like I wanted to do something, I didn't know what. Ideas were rolling around, so the idea of SpirLift came in March 2020. And between myself and a very good friend who we collaborate actually on this channel together, we set out with the SpirLift journey. And look, SpirLift's intention since the beginning is just to find different ways in which I can help bring perspective on how our lives can be better, okay? On how we can, not through just one simple silver bullet, through many different angles, through many different perspectives, through many different ideas that can just enrich our life and get us thinking in certain ways, in different ways, and just stimulate our mind and give us comfort in other ways. That's what I set out to do, to try to just give people some solace and some sense of just feeling more alive, more comforted, more attending to pressing needs, pressing situations, difficult situations. And look, I'm not trying to necessarily provide an answer to anything. And sorry, this is a bit of a preamble before the main thing I'm going to talk about. But I just want to kind of put this in this perspective as SpirLift itself, is that I think it's interesting. I think it's important. I think it's imperative that we think of many different ways of seeing life and just not judging one another. Or I'm guilty of it too, okay? I can't deny that I have my own biases, perspectives. I definitely do. But I think if we try to at least accept each and every one of us in the most loving way possible, that's the best way to live life. And I just want to provide different perspectives, different information, just to make, something come alive in you, or make you think or see something differently than you may have not have seen it before, or make you just feel more alive but in a different way. And I'm just doing it from my own unique angle, my own way of seeing how I can do this. And in English and sometimes in Spanish. I know my Spanish is not perfect. But I just want you, viewer, to just live ultimately the best life you can. That is my goal. And I'm doing it in my own way. And since March of this year, 2020, that's been my whole heart intention. It's just like, how can I make people feel better? And sometimes not every video I've done or do is necessarily maybe just going to make you feel so alive and invigorated per se. It might just be more informative or educational or what have you. But my way of doing this is just to make you have a different sense of curiosity, give you a sense of joy, just give you a sense of something to look forward to each and every day. Because I think we're all on a journey. I don't think there's necessarily, or should be really, an answer to, what we do with our lives. That we shouldn't. I kind of realized that some years ago, actually. It's like, I don't think we should be necessarily trying to get an answer to something. I think we need to enjoy the journey together. The journey's hard sometimes. The journey's beautiful. The journey's just miserable sometimes. The journey is ecstatic. It's so many things. I think the way that we can really just enjoy the journey itself is the most we can, or at least learn what we go through in life, good or bad, however you view the way you view things. But it's part of a construction, a part of a work, let's say, for lack of a better expression, work of art in a way. Art doesn't necessarily have just perfection here, perfection there. It's a little bit of everything coming together, consolidating itself to become something. I think if we understand, going from the transition between a caterpillar to a butterfly, being in the cocoon, being that whole process, I think if we enjoy the process and understand the process and grow through the process as much as possible, we will enrich our lives greatly. And this year in 2020, it's not easy saying what I'm saying. A lot of people are suffering economically, health-wise, relationship-wise, mental health, stresses and anxieties are through the roof right now. And I'm not trying to say that, anything I'm doing has any volition to give an answer to anything, okay? But I'm doing the best I can, honestly. I'm doing the best I can in the most positive way that I can, and the most authentic way that I can for you, for anyone that views my videos, And again, like I said, some will just be purely educational, some will be hopeful, confront or talk about themes that are difficult to talk about, but maybe you can relate to it. Some are uplifting. I just want to add my 2 cents in this journey of life together, okay? So that's why when SpirLift say a journey to a better you, a journey to a better you is not to say, okay, I'm going to become this whole and perfect person. It's about a better you means understanding really more of you, understanding what life is, what it isn't, what it can be. That's what better means to me, okay? It means through all of the grinds and the beauty and the dismay and just everything, the journey of that way of understanding and feeling and being honest with yourself and authentic is how you become better, okay? That's the way I see it. And that's what I want to share with you each and every week in a different way, in a unique way. And that's, I hope I'm adding something in that way. So, look, I was thinking for a while, And I think sometime next year, I'm going to actually probably make a type of book, I would say. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say a manual, maybe a book, okay? But not a long book, you know? Like kind of, let's say a good, structured, concise, to the point book about maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 insights from myself that I think can help, like kind of a toolkit in a way, where I feel that you or anybody, and myself included, these are, you know, I take my own life lessons in my own hand and try to be better with what I do each and every day. But let's say a kind of toolkit, a kind of guide in a way of, you know, things that I personally believe can put you on that journey of the authentic life, the real life, the true life, to become a better you, okay? I decided to make this video and talk about one of these aspects. I'll probably have 10 to 12, so these will be parsed in different videos at some point. So the first main thing, the first main topic that we want to talk about relates to personal responsibility, okay? I was thinking so many different ideas and themes, and this one came knocking at my door, knocking in my head, knocking in my conscious, as probably the fundamental thing to start with, okay? And I'll tell you a little bit of history about me personally, okay? When I was very young, I wanted a bike. And I think it was, in those days, a little over $100 now, and you know, this is back in the 90s. And I think, yeah, I mean, it would be really expensive now I think about it. But I remember asking my dad, hey, I want that bike. Can I get it? Can you get it for me, actually? I was like 8. It was kind of, I'm not going to have the best memory about what was said verbatim in that conversation, but the impression, let's just say the impression that's still kind of in my conscious and on the forefront of my mind from that conversation with my dad was, he kind of insinuated like I should earn that, getting that bike. So I should work for it. I was like 8. So I was like, what? Come on. So it was kind of like, well, if you want the bike, you got to buy the bike. I mean, like me, 8 years old, Devin, from my own money. I was like, what? I don't have money. So I was kind of I was like, oh, okay, well, that seems kind of bizarre. Can I do that? How? I don't know. What does that mean, buy a bike? That is the first memory I have it was actually one of the most important times of my life, fundamental instances of my life in general, of personal responsibility. He's like, if you want it, you got to earn it. So, okay, well, how do I do that? So he introduced me to, in those days, I don't think they really exist anymore, but getting a paper out. So I got a job, my first job. I was earning money. Like, it was like 8, 9 years old. It was some, I know it was around that age, 8, 9 years old. First job, earning my own money, and it was amazing. I thought, I was very resistant. I mean, I think like any 8 or 9-year-old would be at that age, to want to work. I was like, nah, come on, I want to play. And I wake up like at 5 in the morning and go around the neighborhood and throw papers in people's yards that early in the morning at that age. Man, that was crazy. So, but I did it, and I wanted the bike. So I was like, okay, well, there's no other way to go about this but then get up that early and drag my butt out of bed and do a paper route. So I did. And when I got that money, I was like, when I got that paycheck, man, there was no feeling of having my own money. It was amazing. I was like, geez, this is awesome. So, and in those days, this is a million years ago, it seems like, compared to how we live now and how things are now. But I remember when I had to collect the money, we get these black booklet things and had the addresses of each of the people I had delivered papers to. And you would have to tear off like the day, the month of what those people owed, and had the amount that they had to pay you. And it was crazy. It was like, I would knock on their door, hey, Mr. or Miss so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, here's what you owe me for me delivering your papers. And here's the little, I don't know, these little square little items that you would have to rip off and hand it to them. And then they would pay you, check, or in those days it would be check or cash. And I just remember it was once or twice a month, having to go to those people's homes and say, hey, you owe me money. And I just remember going back home that night, and I don't know, I would have this bag thing, and then I would empty it out, and I would be like, wow, there's $100, $200. And wow, that was a great feeling. It was just the satisfaction of waking up at that time, starting at that age, going out, delivering something for somebody, and then going to that person's house later and say, you owe me money now, and you getting that money, and me putting it in my bank and buying the bike and buying whatever I wanted after that. Amazing feeling. So I think that is one of the most important lessons that I've ever learned in my life, and that I'm grateful. That instillment inside of me of being responsible for, in a sense, my own life at that age, and what I wanted and what the reward was for working hard towards that goal. At first it was a bike, and then after, man, I had the paper out for several years. I mean, geez Louise, I had it for, I think, at least till I was 16 or 17. I mean, my dad will be able to correct these timelines for sure, because it's kind of a blur. But I had it for a long time, and it grew. It was firstly within my neighborhood, and then we expanded to other paper routes around other neighborhoods nearby, and then we went to other parts of the city. We had a huge concentration of paper routes all throughout the city where I grew up. It was unbelievable, and it just grew and grew and grew. And then my brothers helped out as well, and they had their own route as well. And sometimes when my friends would spend the night at my house, I would wake them up in the morning, and they would help, and they didn't like that, so they didn't really want to stay at my house too much. But I'll tell you, the satisfaction and the feeling of achievement for being responsible for what I was doing was tremendous, and it shaped the course of my life. And I got several jobs, throughout high school, middle school. I was always earning my own money, and it was I just felt that me being responsible for earning my own way, taking my life into my own hands, was so important. And I had several jobs in high school. I got a bit lazy academically for the beginning of high school. And then I got so interested in a course that I wanted to do. And a couple of very good teachers really encouraged me to get on track academically. And actually, my grandfather, he's like, whip me into shape a little bit. Thank goodness. It's good to have good people to guide you in life, that's for sure, and have a good circle of people that can really push you and encourage you and make you just set the right course for where you need to go, So, but once I took that as well into my own hands, then, man, it was work. Academics, those, especially the last 2.5 years of high school. And then I went abroad for the university. So many amazing, enriching stories about that, and maybe a different video will get into that whole thing, that whole experience, because that really changed my life as well. But I remember as well, like, the responsibility of having to do well is also in university academically. But I also had to work, especially where I was going to school, because it was a very expensive place. I mean, it was difficult, but I didn't play the victim card mentality. I did feel very bad, sometimes just because of overexhaustion of doing a lot of work academically, and also to support myself in different ways financially, just to eat. I mean, I didn't have everything I needed entirely, but I did work for it. And even though I did struggle a lot in certain ways, I still felt that personal responsibility of doing what I want, no matter how difficult the grind was, no matter how difficult the situation was, no matter what is put up against you. You just go for it. And look, I know not everyone has this maybe naturally instilled in them, or they haven't been taught this, or they haven't been guided in a direction like this of the absolute, just what's the word I want to look for? Just how amazing it feels to be personally responsible for yourself, the direction of your life and what you want. This is not an easy thing. It honestly isn't. But it is the best thing. I'm telling you right now. To me, it is. And I think for anybody, if they really think and feel this way, it's like being responsible for your life, for what you want, for what makes you feel alive, for what makes you feel authentic, for what makes you feel real. You are your real truth. You are your real expression of love. You are the true and most authentic thing you could ever know. And that's going to sound weird how I say it like that, but I feel it's absolutely true. I think the more you know yourself, the more you can discover who you are and love yourself, the more you can appreciate how much of a gift you are. And you share that, nothing can stop you. And not every day is going to feel like you can do that. Not every situation will feel that presents itself in your life. Of course not. Absolutely not. I mean, I honestly, if I were to tell you, there's most days I feel just completely exhausted, honestly. I mean, I wish I could attune more of myself, be in tune, with more of myself to feel with these ways that I'm expressing to you. And I'm working on that. But I definitely have had many periods, many times where I felt in this way. And it's the best feeling in the world, And of course, self-doubt creeps in, judgment, bias, prejudice, and just the inundation of fear and information sometimes just overwhelms you. But I think the ability, the desired outcome of understanding what and who you are and getting in touch with that and appreciating what you are and what you do have right now and can have in your life is absolutely important. And being responsible, being personally responsible for the life you want, because we all can, we all should, and I believe must do that. 2020 has been what many would conceive as the biggest deterrent of understanding, life worth living, because there's so many situations in this year that can cast doubt on the idea that life is actually good. But I'm telling you right now, it is good. Adversity is not a bad thing. Adversity is important. Adversity shows us what we can be each and every day and what we can become. So, just encourage you all, each and every day, find ways in a quiet way or just an enjoyable way, whatever that is. It can be in silence, it can be through music, it can be whatever. It can just get in touch with you, understand you, appreciate you, and just learn the importance of loving yourself, being responsible for yourself personally, and just taking a hold of your life, as I did, luckily and thankfully, when I was 8 years old, starting with the paper out. Though, sometimes our circumstances of the way we grew up can make us feel like everything I'm saying is garbage, or the people around us now can make us feel like, well, that's garbage. Everything Devin is saying is complete garbage. There's no such thing as that. I believe that's absolutely not true. I believe that each and every one of us has something beautiful and valuable and incredible to give, to manifest, and share in this life. And I encourage you to do it today, a little bit each and every day, even though every day is a unique day. Some are good, some are bad. But make the life you want the best you can and in the way that you can, being personally responsible. Thank you, SpirLifters. I would love to hear your comments below, and have a great day.